common question I get a lot of the time is what type of electrical do I need for my infrared sauna, my two-person, my three-person, my three-person corner, and what a good quality with a good heating system infrared sauna requires is a 120 volt 20 amp dedicated outlet. What does dedicated mean? It means that circuit's not going to anything else. You're not powering anything else. It's not going you're the whole entire circuit is dedicated for just that sauna use. Number one, that way you don't overload the circuit, which could be a fire hazard as well. But, if you got other things running off that circuit when you're heating your sauna up, it's going to trip that breaker and it's going to be annoying. And hopefully it does trip that breaker because it's saying, hey, you're pulling too much power than the wires can handle. So then it shuts the circuit breaker off, cuts power, and now you're safe. The other issue is if you don't have a dedicated circuit and it's going to a lot of different things and say it doesn't trip the 20 amp circuit breaker, well, it's not getting all the power that it needs to heat up and get to the highest temperature in the way it was designed. So if you can put a 20 amp breaker, run 12 gauge wire to one outlet and one and only outlet, and that's the only thing that outlet and circuit is being used for. Now everything is 100% completely safe. Everything is up to electrical code, and the sauna is getting all the power it needs to perform at the way it was designed at the highest level. So it heats up the fastest, it gets the hottest, and you spend less time in it to get the benefits. Now, some people can't do a 120 volt 20 amp dedicated outlet. Maybe it costs too much. Maybe they live in an apartment or they live in a condo and the electrical panel is too far away. In that case, Good Health Saunas makes a very good two-person 15 amp sauna that does plug into a regular outlet, which using a 15 amp sauna and getting the benefits far surpasses not using one at all and not getting the benefits. So it's for me, if I lived in an apartment and all I could do is a 15 amp outlet, you bet your butt that I'm using a 15 amp two-person infrared sauna. So that's kind of the electrical questions I get a lot, is what type of electrical does it need, and and hopefully that helps. And then the other thing people ask is, how hard is it to put in a 20 amp? Can I just swap the outlet? I mean, it's very rare scenarios that you can actually just swap the outlet. Usually you do have to run a new circuit. You start at the electrical panel and you look at the bottom of the electrical panel. Do you have open spots that you can put a brand new breaker that's never been used before in that slot? And then how easy is it to run the wires from the electrical panel to the location of where you're going to put your sauna? So in the north, a lot of people put their infrared sauna in their basement. So what do? They put it closer to the electrical panel. If it's an unfinished basement, well, that makes it easy. You can run the wire very simply throughout anywhere in the basement. It's unfinished. Or if you have a drop ceiling, it allows you to run wire above the drop ceiling per electrical code. Local, state, municipalities, they have their own electrical code that you got to follow. And any certified electrician is going to know exactly what to do. This is very easy for a normal electrician to do. It's about as easy as a job as it can be. But, sometimes, if you do have a finished basement or the room is finished, a lot of times they can change the whole circuit to an outlet by fishing the wire through existing outlets and pulling the wire through outlet to outlet to get it to where you want it to go. Other times they'll have to cut some spots in drywall to be able to fish the wire to certain spots. Now, years ago, before COVID, prices were a little bit different for electricians nowadays. So there's not as many electricians out there, which then means they're more in demand, and then it costs a little bit more. But I've had anybody get quotes from a couple $100 to a couple grand depending on how far away from the electrical panel that they want to install a 20 amp outlet for their sauna. So if you're looking for minimal electrical costs and you don't have a 20 amp outlet or it wasn't wired for it, I would look closest to the electrical panel to make it easier on your electrician to install a new 120 volt 20 amp dedicated outlet.